All right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We are actually talking about a very controversial topic before we went for the break. And like you heard, we have a guest in the studio, and joining us to also expatiate more on this is another guest, this time not live in the studio but through a phone call. His name is Alex Okonkwo. Alex Okonkwo is a security expert who will be giving us his own suggestions or perspective on the matter at hand. We'll be talking to him right now. Mr. Alex Okonkwo, thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
All right, so we are talking about the controversial issue which is all over the internet now about Obi and the presiding officer of the church which Oyedepo really presides over. We have before us the topic, the leaked audio conversation between both of them, and we're trying to get other angles to this. So as a security expert, what does this really portend, for our conversations, the conversations we have on the phone, as far as the internet is concerned?
Well, the very first thing we must note here is that nobody will say it. I start by clarifying that. The second thing is that it will appear to me that was a private conversation. And if it was leaked, that means it is either one of his aides that has access, it was either his phone was hacked, or rather the pastor's phone was hacked, the bishop.
All right, now let's get your perspective on this. When it comes to audio conversation, of course, on various platforms, it is always encrypted from end to end, which means that certain information or data are converted into codes, if you understand what I mean, just so that it may not in any way get to a third party if not authorized. Now, how could it happen that a conversation allegedly between the presidential candidate Peter Obi and the winner chapel presiding overseer, Bishop Oyedepo, got leaked? How did that happen? Was that a breach or a deliberate attempt? Mr. Alex, are you there?
I think we lost Mr. Alex there, but as soon as that line or link is established, we'll get his thought once again. Now, let's come back to you. We want you to respond to the question Josh just asked. This is actually a conversation that should be meant to be private in its entirety.
Exactly.
Now, how did it come about that their conversation became a public information, saturating everywhere you can ever think of?
You see, what the spokesperson for Peter Obi was saying that about $20 million was given to this network, telco people, to compromise the privacy.
Do you have that fact established, or you're going by
I'm talking of what is
speculations
on the public media based on his response.
That what?
That $20 million was given out
to compromise
the information leak. That since the guy decided to run, they have been trying to look at the situation to know if there was a place he mentioned interim national government or protest in all his conversation, and they did not find anything.
So who actually paid that much?
Who else? He called the person the Escobar who wants to be the president of Nigeria. That is the language he used in his term.
Can you substantiate that fact that it was actually him that was mentioned?
Who?
Tinubu?
He didn't mention the name of the person directly. He just used Pablo Escobar, who wants to be the president of Nigeria. That is the language.
Anybody can actually have that ambition to be the president, or it can be.
No, I mean, by the words that follow, he was saying that Supreme Court should do things fast before May 29. So we know it's only Nigeria we have May 29.
Well, that's your opinion.
Yeah, no, that is what he said, which is on the print media or the online media.
Okay.
which any person can hold me responsible because he said it, because that was actually what I was reading throughout the whole night and getting the context from his own perspective, different from what has been trending.
Meaning for further understanding.
For further understanding, to have a okay.
For further understanding, based on what you've said,
Yeah.
it means that there's something fishy about his hastiness, right?
Who?
I mean, the person you're talking about who is about to come in as
The
a
Pablo
president,
Escobar
you
for
mentioned.
saying that the Supreme Court should be very fast about their proceedings.
Yeah, he said the Supreme Court should be fast about their proceedings, and then so that before May 29, the issue at the Supreme Court should be decided, or the issue at the court tribunals or Supreme Court should be decided before that May 29, so that the truth will come out in all this whole situation. Because something is fishy, and because we believe that there's something fishy, that because not only us, but the contenders, the leading contenders believe there's something fishy. That's why they went to court. Because some of us who were on the polling unit and some of us who were around saw what's happened in this country. And so you can't come here, the INEC chairman cannot come, giving us 100% guarantee before the election, several different fora, make the guarantee that things will be done this way, and things will be done this way, only for that particular day to come. You begin to come and speak about glitches, whatever thing happening.
Okay, now you've established that fact, but let's not deviate from the
issue of privacy.
Yes, I was talking about privacy when it comes to invasion of one's privacy. Because whether or not that fact has been established, that he actually made those insightful statements allegedly or not, the fact remains that someone's privacy
has been breached.
And has been breached. Now, looking at that fact, what does it speak of every Nigerian, regardless of?
It shows that Nigeria is for the highest bidder. Somebody can betray. Judas betrayed Jesus Christ because of money. And when things like this come inside, you go to show that the telco company that we talk about, they don't stand on. I did public relation with the Nigerian Institute for Public Relation. And there's something, my lecturer said something. He said, even in marketing, when somebody is marketing something for you and you buy that product based on what he's marketing, and you discover that the terms of reference or content for what he's saying is not in that product, you can sue. But how many people do that one now?
Maybe because people do not understand their rights.
Exactly. It's part of it. And that is why we, for instance, as an NGO with citizens' rights and empowerment advocacy, is to make sure that a lot of people, consumers know their right, citizens know their right, as entrenched in the Constitution. Like I normally tell people, if you are coming with your opinion, there are two things you must hold in your hand for me: the Bible and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Anything you are saying outside those two
does not hold water.
Does not hold water before me.
Well, just a moment. My concern, I'm still falling back to
the issue of privacy.
Not even the privacy. I understand that Oyedepo has said that he's always in conversation with politicians, right? And political parties when it comes to campaign. He gives out whatever he wants to give out in terms of advice, prayers, and what have you. Why is it that he hasn't come out to debunk that conversation that is everywhere on the social media? From your own point of view, as someone who is coming from a religious background, if someone has indicted you into such, what are you expected to do in that instance? To save your name and to save the organization that you represent.
I think it's Proverbs 26 verse 4 and 5 that says, it says, answer a fool according to his foolishness, so he don't think he's wise. And that is a 4. He said, do not answer a fool according to his foolishness, so that you don't become like him.
So is silence an answer to a fool?
I'm coming, and let me finish my premise. Yeah, sometimes. And sometimes you say, do not answer a fool according to his foolishness, so that you don't be like him. Then the following verse in verse 5 say, answer a fool according to his foolishness, so that he doesn't think he's smart in his mind. I said something here, that when people are dragging things in the mud, and people are dragging your reputation in the mud, sometimes ignoring them is this thing, because the more you want to try and defend allegations that were already cooked up, you get yourself messed up. Truth will come out eventually, and truth is not in haste.
But you remember in the law, it is said that silence is consent, right?
That's what some people say. Silence is not always consent. Silent is not always consent, because number one, if I don't people like him, if it is with me, it is when the court will demand.
How do you prove your total innocence?
I don't need to prove anything
when
except the country
that your voice, your mannerism, everything they know you for was seen in that conversation. And it is also in your knowledge that this information is everywhere. So how do you prove that you were not part of that?
How do I begin to prove on something that's already cooked up something? Now you tell me, somebody say you stole and you never stole. And there are things you don't even explain to the public except where it is mandatory. That is to say, if it gets to the court and the court now said, you are guilty of this one, I want you to explain, then I can talk. I can't just talk because people are talking.
Okay, that has been established. Yeah. Now we're talking about privacy.
Yeah.
I'm still going back to that issue of privacy. You know, when you talk about privacy, should it not even be imperative for us to even be hearing from the right authority? I'm talking about the telecommunications minister, who should be the one to at least call these telcos and invite them for investigations, you know, for questionings. As regards the leaked audio, shouldn't we start seeing such happening? Because it speaks volume when an individual cannot be able to have his privacy intact.
Nigeria is a very complex country, just like the way the people are. And the network of corruption that it causes structure in this country is massive. And that is just the pure truth. We can't just believe that it is something that is going to go out overnight. The youth of this country are rising up, and systematically we will push all these old brigades that are spoiled the destiny of the future of this country in this. Why I said that one? A lot of people, APC is the party in government. That's number one thing we must know. APC is the party in government. Their candidate is the person in government. When this issue of election comes, why Yakub Mahmoud was saying that they were glitches, whatever thing, it was the LCC, Nigeria telecommunication minister, that came out to say that about 1.2 million attempt or whatever thing were hacked, were made. But that was where you're supposed to put firewalls against such hacking. That was the guarantee you gave to us that Nigeria has the highest budget on election, more than India, that is 2 billion, that is almost 1 billion, more than Brazil, more than Indonesia. We have the highest budget, and all this was to forestall all these things you are now giving us story about. Shows that you are incompetent. And that was why that Ahmed stood on the studio, or say sat on the studio with Channel the other time. I was saying he's saying thing. As long as this thing is illegal, it is illegal, and the government must not be sworn in by the 29th of those particular days. The Supreme Court must not do this. This should not be done. In all this particular thing, the network of corruption that is going on, and the silence of the telecommunication minister is also something we have to look at. The network involved should be called. I don't know which networks are involved. The network involved should be called and should be asked, how did this thing get out? Are we sure we are still safe in the hand of people? A lot of people now prefer using WhatsApp call to preserve this thing.
All right. Indeed, that's well taken, but let's not lose our guest who is actually joining us via Zoom this time. Mr. Alex Okonkwo, thank you very much for joining us once again.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right. We want you to share your perspective with us on the topic we're talking about, which is the LP and Oyedepo's leaked audio conversation. Now, what's your own, how do you see this leakage coming from the telecom industry?
I'm not always hearing you well, but I hope you're hearing me well.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Well, if you ask, if your question is what's my take on it, I think it's first of all a private call, so it should remain as such. And then if there was a leak, which is what it seems there was, if there was a leak, it can come from various domains. One can be a staff, a close staff of one of the two personalities. It of course could be hacked publicly. somebody from outside could have hacked it. It could have been the security agencies, especially one or two of them that are very specialized in such and allowed to do such at certain circumstances. And it could have also been, opposition parties. So there's quite a lot in it. I think we should not go into the judgment of social media before we actually know a bit more about it.
Okay,
that's what I would say.
All right, so just a moment. So now, when you talk about the fact that certain factors could have been played, in that situation that could have led to the leaking of that video, either from the personal staff of these personalities, or someone was paid to actually hack into the account, whatever the situation is. Are you aware that when it comes to conversations, especially on social media, it's usually end-to-end encrypted, which means that certain informations and data are usually converted into code to make it more secured in order not to get to the third party. So how could a private conversation, let's even leave the fact that whether or not they had staff who handles their phone or whatever it is, how could it get to the third party or even to the public?
All right, I think your connection from your end is really not allowing this conversation to proceed. We'll come back at you once we're able to establish a connection with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Alex Okonkwo. All right, so...
Okay, I think he's back.
Are you
I
there
can hear
now?
you very well. I can hear you very well.
All right,
so it depends if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, fine. So what I was going to say was that, yes, you say it's encrypted, it's like some of your codes on internet and all that. But at the end of the day, it's man-made and it can be hacked by people. Very, very good hands can, we say in French, déchiffrer, which means disfigure the encryption that you're talking about. So these things are actually possible. Yes, we're talking of very high-level performers who can do these things, but it can be done. Especially as we go forward with AI and chat GPT and all these things are no more as incredible as it used to be 10 years ago. What I'm saying here is that at the end of the day, it's a private conversation. Yes.
He was trying to give us more information.
Your network is really
the privacy,
truncating this conversation. All right, just let us know when you're right back. All right, so I want you to respond to what he asked. Mr. Alex.
The privacy issue is always an issue that we always try to fight for.
All right, I think he's back. Mr. Alex, are you there?
I can hear you.
All right, go right ahead. Go right ahead now.
Sorry for the other guest. I didn't quite get his name, but sorry that I have to intervene at this moment when he was about to say something.
No problem.
What I was saying is this: our private people, our public officials, because once you present yourself as a presidential candidate, you become a public official. They should be a bit more careful, because at the end of the day, this was a private conversation we had with his pastor. We can call it his pastor or his bishop or his somebody who can maybe give him advice. Now, I am not talking of the content of what they said, because initially we shouldn't know about the content. We are saying it's a private conversation, and at that level, they should be more careful of the words they use. Because at the end of the day, private conversations for a public person is public. Whatever President Joe Biden calls you and tells you is public, even though he's telling you on the private level. Because if it comes out publicly, he should be saying something he can fend for outside. That is one aspect of it. I'm not saying it is justified. I'm saying they should be more careful. Anything the president-elect or his major candidates, major oppositions talk about today in any situation is already in the public domain. For whatever reason. I'm not saying it's justified, once again. I'm saying that is the attitude they should have. So you can't go around saying, oh, why are these people behaving like this? When Peter Obi says that, he is definitely talking in the public domain, because he's a public as we speak. He's even in contest to become president.
All right, your thoughts are really appreciated. We'll come back again when we're able to establish that conversation with you. All right.
Very much I agree with him. That is why I said, based on what the PA to Obi'S said, the words of the man was taken out of context. I I'm trying to speak in line with that area. Our privacy should be protected, but as a public officer, yeah. And like I said, because they don't have anything on this man, that is the reason they are trying to see if they can frame him up with anything to dent his name and to dent his reputation.
When you say they, who are you actually referring to?
Opposition, of course. Who else will be fighting against somebody who is contesting against you? It will be the opposition, not the fans who followed you, who cheered you, who believed in you. But those who are against you will definitely do anything to see if they can.
Now, if you're saying they, such as the opposition party, responsible in trying to cook up all of this story, do you have any evidence to really back this up to say, yes, I said it and these are the reasons why I said it?
Well, if you check, let me be very honest with us in this platform and in the studio here, vis-a-vis what is happening. It's like PDP did not contest this election.
In your own opinion?
Yeah, because we are not seeing war between APC and PDP or PDP and Labour. We are seeing war between APC and Labour. Most of the people who push this thing are APC fans and APC people. So when you see the conflict that is going on social media, it is between APC and Labour. So when we talk of opposition now in this particular place that are doing this particular thing, we will have to say based on the source and the people trending this thing, they are APC.
Okay, now talk to us about the involvement of these telcos.
Yeah, the involvement of these telcos is worrisome. We should all accept it. It's a breach of trust. It's a breach of trust on them, and it should give us concern. If there is a way we can rebel and protest by porting, like I said, for 1 month, let us just port to another network.
Anyway,
and as a form of punishment to deter future event and occurrence, I will be happy about
apologies to Botin, like our guest talked about. He said at this point, we cannot say vividly if it is the responsibility of the telecommunication or if it is the staff, one of the staffs, belonging to these personalities, because anybody or any party can be part of this. I'm also thinking that someone can also clone one person's WhatsApp or conversation and then use the opportunity to, expose him. So for now, we cannot say if it is telco that will hold responsible or the staff belonging, any of the staff belonging to this personality. But we are saying, for instance, that let's even assume that this issue is coming from the telecommunications. Now, what are we supposed to be getting from them at this point?
Well, we believe that they should be doing an internal cleansing, because obviously some of these things that are
when you say internal cleansing, I'm just talking about, is it not possible for them to come out to say, you know what, we understand what is happening, but we are not responsible for this, and these are reasons. And
that's where sometimes I will have to go back maybe to say, well, it's silent means consent.
Yeah.
That's where we apply that one to certain issue, because when I look at it in that area, based on what this Mr. Alex said just now, we may not know actually where source is, but no matter what, it was a network that was used.
Obviously.
So no matter how people want to be good at cloning, without the aid of the network, I don't believe some of these things will succeed. Because no matter how you try to clone people's conversation, and then you want to hack into people's conversation, these two people are not close to by 2 distances. Even if you are hearing me from...
Do you know what it takes to clone? You just need your number and I clone it.
Yes.
Once I clone it, once somebody calls you, it rings in my end.
In my ear,
So I don't need the telecom. That's the level to which the
technology
ICT has gone.
To the, yes.
So I am saying now that we cannot say categorically who is responsible for it.
Yes, I buy to that one.
To be able to save the image of the telecommunication, don't you think at this point they should
have to come and exonerate
now
themselves
say that we are not responsible for this, even whether or not it is being used by our network?
First of all, I believe that they may be doing internal investigation.
Obviously.
This is just about 3 days or 4 days.
Yes.
They may be doing some internal investigation, and they can't just begin to come and say whether it is from them or from them. Because coming out in a rush to begin to defend yourself may even implicate you in that particular place. So you have to fall for where is the source of all this thing and where does it come out from. They will do those particular things, and if it is there, they will then begin to say how they will cleanse up the system. That's one on the other side. But if it is not them, then that is where I said something earlier. As if for money, Judas betrayed Jesus Christ with all the whole good works he was doing on earth. So for money, people can go any length. If what the spokesperson for Obi'S said, that the amount of $20 million, I like quoting that figure because I read it several times to be sure that I'm not misquoting. The amount of $20 million was offered to the people who did the dirty jobs that they are doing. It's a big money. Then you convert that
to
one
which people?
To the people who doctored this leaked video.
You mean Obi said it?
No, Obi spokesperson.
Obi spokesperson
yes, said it. Yeah, that $20 million.
I wish we could have that information on the screen if you actually have it.
I have it. I have it. I have it.
You have it with you?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, maybe we could just call for.
I will send you the link. Then maybe
let's
you know how
call
to
for
put
a
on the
break
screen.
and let's see if we can have that on the screen while you talk about that. We'll go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll be talking more on this. Please stay with us.
Wait.